What part about that? Sounds like you're coming and moving in the next day for 2/3 of the rent, gentlemen.
We were gonna be there for a month, and we weren't gonna be there.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna quote you line, chapter, and verse because I am so angry at you.
These are the plaintiffs, Dave Szabo and Lee Polonsky. Dave says he and Lee rented an apartment from the defendant, and the defendant promised it would be ready. But when they went to move in, there were 1,200 cockroaches in the place. There was no working toilet. They told him they weren't going to move in. Now the guy, for some unknown reason, won't return their money. So they're suing for the $1,550 they're owed. This is the defendant, Ray Kovitis. He says the plaintiffs were supposed to have a third guy live with them, but he backed out, and that's when they told him they couldn't any longer afford to live in the place. They wanted him to return their money, but he told them they signed a lease. That's when they called him a cheat and told him they'd see him in court, and he said go for it because he never loses. Let's see if he's right. He's accused of being a rotten renter. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $450 for remaining rent owed.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Dave Szabo and Lee Polonsky?
Yep.
Okay, you are suing Ray Kovitis for $1,550. You say you are out because he unreasonably refuses to return rent money that you gave him for an apartment you were going to rent. You have a counterclaim against him for $450 for the rest of the rent for that month that you say they were short. All right, gentlemen, what happened?
Well, on December 13th, Lee Polonsky, he went down to the apartment to check it out. Everything looked decent, what we were looking for. The price was in the right spot. And
what was the price?
At the time, the rent was...
It was $1,350.
Yes.
Okay.
So he...
Who was going to live there?
It was going to be Lee, myself, and we had a third person, Felipe.
Okay, so you were each going to pay $400 and some. All right.
So we all went back to the apartment. Lee brought Felipe and I back so that we could check it out. And it looked okay. It was still a little messy. We opened the refrigerator. It was actually filled with cockroaches. Ray tried to have us keep the refrigerator and said he would clean it, but we turned it down and we all agreed that he'd get a new one.
Okay.
We went back on the 22nd, and Ray had kind of pushed us into signing this lease.
How did he push you into signing a lease?
He said that he needed some incentive to know that we were actually going to go through with it, and he had people lined up for the apartment.
How's that pushing you? Yeah, he's got to figure out who's renting the place.
We told him that we didn't want to sign the lease that day.
Then don't. Did you sign the lease that day?
We did.
We did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
How old are you?
26.
Okay, put your big boy pants on when you sign a contract. It's not somebody pushing you into it. It's you deciding, oh, I really want it. I don't want to lose it to the other people. And so you sign it. So, but what went wrong? Something went wrong.
Well, what went wrong was on that day, Felipe wasn't with us to sign the lease. So it was just Lee and I that signed it. Felipe had backed out of the apartment. So
why?
He just said he changed his mind and didn't want to do it. I think it was something about the commute to work for him was too much.
Right.
So what had happened was we went and spoke to Ray on the 30th.
Cut you off, sorry.
Go ahead, that's all right.
So on the 22nd, we signed the lease, and we were prepared to have just the two of us there. Ideally, we wanted a third person, but we weren't against having just the two of us live there. And Ray promised us to be ready.
Your rent was going to be 50% more than it was already.
Yeah.
You were prepared for that?
Yeah, it would be $600-700, but it's not unreasonable. I've paid that much before.
So you were perfectly fine with going from $450 to $600 or $700?
Not perfectly fine. We had a third person that I was talking to. He didn't see the place, but he was looking for it to move into. So we were trying to, find alternatives. We were ready to,
When do you contact him and tell him the third guy bailed?
We did that on the 30th.
So between the 22nd, when Felipe told you he wasn't going to take it, and the 30th, you're trying to find a third person?
No, Felipe had told us he wasn't going to take it. It was like the 29th. It was like the day before we spoke to Ray.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he said he was going to sign the lease and then backed out before.
Is this
he-
Felipe?
No.
No. Do you guys still talk to Felipe?
Yeah. There's no hard feelings. But Ray promised us it would be ready on the 23rd, no later than the 24th. And then I called him pretty much
Well,
every
you weren't
single...
moving in until when? The
Well,
first.
Well, we signed the lease that day under the agreement that he would have it ready the next day. Otherwise, we wouldn't have signed the lease that day. We had to be out of
Why
our...
would a landlord ever have it ready a week before he has to have, like, what?
Well, we told him that we had to
Wait,
be-
hold on, watch this. Did you promise to have it ready the next day?
I said that I would try to, but I would have it ready for the first.
Right, for the day that you're moving in. That would be his obligation. I'll try to have it ready sooner, but guaranteeing to you it's going to be ready the next day. What really happened?
That's the only reason that we signed the lease that day, so that it would be ready on the 23rd.
Is that in the lease, what you just said?
No, it's not.
Okay, so go ahead.
So he did tell us that he wasn't going to chase us down for Felipe's portion of the rent, and at the end of the month, that'd be the end of it. Like, we would just be there for that month. So we were under the impression that, we already had given him the money. We had the receipt for the rent, the portions of the rent that Lee and I paid. And we thought we were just going to be there for a month for the $900 and then
You were
be
going to
out.
move in just for a month?
Yeah, well, we paid $900, so we figured
Yeah.
we'd be living there, at least.
Okay.
We said, then this is going to be our final month. This first month is our final one. And we
Right,
have
but
a
then
month-to-month lease.
for you to move in, you have to pay another $450.
He told us it would be $900. He
said
said,
you wouldn't-
I won't chase you down for the rest of the rent.
No, okay, hold on a second. Not chasing you down for the rest of the rent, if you guys go off into the sunset, is different than letting you move in without you paying the $450.
He didn't make it clear at all. The way I took it is that he wasn't going to... He said, okay, I won't cancel the lease, but you can have the place for $900. I'm going to be a nice guy. You can have it for this price for the month.
We thought we had some sympathy from him because of Felipe backing out.
What happened there on the 30th?
What happened on the 30th was they given me a call, said we needed to talk. I said, what's it about? They said, we want to meet you in person. So I said, okay. So my son and I went over there.
You the son?
Because we
Come on up.
I had agreed to replace that refrigerator with a new one. So I told my son, I said, okay, we have to do a quick superficial cleaning on the property. And then you can help me move the refrigerator out, move the new one in. Okay, so we take the old one out. And the old one, it was working, but it was dirty. And there had been cockroaches in the place before. It had been treated twice to make sure they were gone. So when we moved the refrigerator out, there was some residue underneath the refrigerator where they hibernate. So anyway, in that time period, my son is a witness, say that they said Felipe had backed out and they could not rent the property. Okay, and I said, and they wanted the money back. I said, look, if I can re-rent it as of January 1st, I'll give you the money back. If I rent it during the month, I'll prorate the rent and give you the balance after the $900. And I also said that, look, I said, I'm not going to hold, if I don't get it rented, I said, I could hold you responsible for the balance of the $450 to the $1,350. I said, but I'm not going to hold you responsible because I can absorb the loss more than you can. And he said, well, you got that right.
Okay.
Okay. Then on January 1st, they were calling me a crook and a cheater in that time period.
Wait. When did you go from crook and cheat?
No.
Yeah, how did we went from it being peaceable until...
When we were having the discussion, because I didn't give them the money, wouldn't give their $900 back, they were calling me a cheat and a crook. And I told them, I said, look, I'm not going to hold you responsible for the balance of the rent if I don't rent it. But if I do rent it, I'll give them prorated amount back. So on January 1st, they call, speak to my wife. Wife says, well, I thought you weren't coming in. And they said, no, we never said we weren't coming in. We want to move in now, but the place is not livable. And then, I don't know where that came from, but anyway.
But how were they going to move in when you were still owed the $450? Were you letting...
Right, so I said to them, I said, okay, we'll be over there right away. My wife and I went over there.
This is on the 1st of January?
On the 1st of January.
Oh, for the love of all that's
So we
holy.
went over there, and she cleaned the bathroom. I swept up the floor in the kitchen, picked up the debris, cleaning supplies and whatnot, put it in the truck, brought the new refrigerator up.
I thought you had brought the new refrigerator up on the 30th, no?
We
No.
took the old one out on the 30th.
On the 30th.
Yes.
On the 30th, and we didn't bring the new one in or do the cleaning because they said they weren't moving in.
Okay.
Now,
So now on the 1st, they're like, well, this place isn't livable.
this place is not livable.
Were they at the place?
They were at the
Did
place.
they still have the keys?
I let him keep the key because he had a couple things personal, like a desk chair, a table, a few little
That
things.
he'd already moved in?
That he had already put in.
Okay.
And-
Okay. How long have you been a landlord?
Quite a few years.
Okay, let's talk about everything that went wrong.
Okay.
You pick them to live there even though they never gave, and you hand them the keys and a lease when they're still not done paying the first month's rent.
Correct.
You hand them the keys before they've even finished paying the rent for the first month.
Trying to be
You
helpful.
let them trying to be a good guy. This is crazy. You let them move stuff in before their lease begins, which can now make they slip and fall, they sue you for $1 million. All the things that you're doing that aren't like a businessman does. And then you're such a nice guy that you tell these guys, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll prorate it if I'm able to re-rent it, which of course you can't in a day, on New Year's Day. I won't sue you for the $450, which of course he has a right to because that's what you had committed to for that 1 month. And then they turn around, they sue you because you say that. Because according to them, they were going to move in for 1 month without paying the rest of the rent. Did you ever authorize to them that they could move in for 2/3 of the rent?
No.
Why is that up? Is there somebody want me to see an audio, a video?
Yes, I had gone upstairs when they were talking, and it started to get heated, so I said, I'll turn on my phone to record. So I had the whole conversation
I love my work. Okay, let me hear it.
Granted, it was in my pocket, so it's a bit jumbled, but...
Okay, I'll take it.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Is it stupid for the landlord to give tenants keys and let them move in without signing a lease or paying even first month's rent?
Very stupid.
And why is it stupid?
Because he has no money or any type of guarantee of payment from these people.
I know, but what does he have? What does the landlord have in a situation like this?
Too much.
No. What?
He's got his stuff.
No, he's got these tenants, right? He's got people in the place, and now he needs to get out if they don't pay any money, right? I should be interviewing myself right now. He's got tenants in the apartment that he hasn't paid and hasn't gotten any money from. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? Yeah. Right. Okay, let's go inside the courtroom.
What state are you from? New Jersey. One-party consent. Go ahead. If you did that in Florida, it'd be a felony.
Yeah, okay, because I always forgot that we're at month to month. So even at a month to month, it's 30 days notice. So this could be the 30 days notice.
Right.
Which still doesn't change January's rent.
No, that's true. It's true. I just want to be clear that we won't be obligated for any further months.
Who's that?
I am not going to go after you guys for, like I said, I'm not even going to go after you for the extra $450. Okay? So I'm already taking a beating of $450. Well, sorry, because I was looking forward to having you guys here.
We're looking forward to being here.
Who said we were looking forward to being here?
Tomorrow we can come by and get it.
Couldn't hear that. It might have been me.
Bet you whatever, you still have the key, come back tomorrow, drop it off.
All right, guys. Sorry it didn't work out right.
Yeah, well, that's not your fault.
Yeah, see you around.
Okay.
It's nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too.
Tell me, what part about that sounds like you're coming and moving in the next day for 2/3 of the rent, gentlemen?
We were going to be there for a month, and we weren't going to be there for...
Gentlemen, I'm going to quote you line, chapter, and verse because I am so angry at you. Show some integrity. Sometimes you got to eat the problem and not the nice guy who's being nice to you. I can't believe you took it this far. It's one thing for you to ask to have the money back, but you're actually suing him for it when I hear in there, that's true. When he says to you, well, then you're obligated because it's a month to month. So you'd be obligated for the first month. Your response is, that's true. I just want to be clear that you're not going to be, that we're not going to be obligated for the rest of it. At that point, you're relieved to just see the 900 go and know he's not going to sue you for 450. But no, don't talk. Just listen. But then you got to get greedy. Then you got to get greedy with the nice guy. Later, he tells you, so just come back and drop it off tomorrow. Drop it off anytime, drop it off tomorrow. So what do you mean drop it off tomorrow? I'm moving in tomorrow. What do you mean? There's none of that. He says, we were looking forward to having you here. Well, we were looking forward to being here. Does that sound like you're moving in the next day? And then what do? You're such trash that you come in the next day to be able to take pictures of the roaches that you know he didn't clean because you weren't moving in, for you to use it as an excuse for why you now get your money back because it wasn't ready. No, gentlemen, no.
That perspective is...
Not here, not today, not on my watch. Not only did you not get your $900 back, but that counterclaim that he has now against you, I'm gonna find in his favor, and you two gentlemen owe him an additional $450. How do you like them apples? Sometimes you should just leave well enough alone. Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Well, the plaintiff's right here, right next to me, please. Boys, you just got busted on national television.
I wouldn't call it busted. I think that wasn't too fair at all. We barely had a say in that. The evidence, we didn't have a chance to refute it. The entire audio tape was, not only completely, it wasn't completely audible for the entire thing, so you didn't get portions of the discussion. But when things were said like, I was looking forward to moving in here, living here, we were referring to something along the lines of like, for an extended period of time, as opposed to just 1 month. We didn't have a chance to say that. We didn't have a chance to present our evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Unfortunate. All right, head right down that way. That's how it goes. That's what the losing end sounds like. And what about winning this case and winning on your countersuit?
I'm surprised it actually came to this. I was trying to be a nice guy, help the kids out. I even was going to give them month-to-month rent because a lot of times the kids may not get along. Mm-hmm. Easy way to get out. Bottom line is, the kids nowadays, they got to take responsibility for their actions. Mm-hmm. And it's apparent that they choose not to.
That's it from in here. Harvey?
Okay, Kurt, the recording laws, when you can record somebody, they vary from state to state. Some states you need everybody's consent on the line. Other states, one person's consent on the line. You should check the law in your state before you do anything. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, Kabira Bowie. She says the defendant ran through a red light at a high rate of speed, smashed into her car, and the next thing she knows, there's an ambulance on the scene. The irresponsible defendant didn't have insurance. One side of her car is smashed, and she's suing the woman for every penny of the $2,461 she's owed. This is the defendant, Sherry McCrean. She says the plaintiff was the one who ran the red light, and she can't believe the woman saying it the other way around. In fact, the plaintiff was the one who hit her, ripping off the whole front end of her truck, totaling it. She can't believe the woman beat her to the punch by filing this lawsuit first, because if anyone is owed money, it's her. She's accused of running red. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $3,000 for the loss of her truck.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says the defendant ran a red light and creamed her. But the defendant says the plaintiff's the one who ran the light. It's the case of I see red. No, you see red.
You're welcome in.
Ms. Bowie, you are suing Sherry McCree and Rosemary Allen. Who's Rosemary Allen?
She's not here. I'm representing her.
For $2,461 that you say you are owed in order to fix your car because you had an accident and it was her fault. You are counterclaiming $3,000 for the same reason because you say it was her fault. All right, what happened, ladies?
January 11, 2014, I was traveling down South Orange Avenue. Proceeded to go through the light, which was green. I was hit on the left side by...
Can you show me on the car? Come on up here and show me where you were hit with the cars.
Pick your cars.
Pick a car to be you, pick a car to be her. Which one's you?
The red one would be me. I guess it'd be like this. Yeah. It came like this. And my car ended up here. So this would be...
So the front of her car hits where? Do it again.
My left side, on the driver's side.
Stop the cars where they were in the intersection, if you can, and where they hit.
It was about right here, okay?
All right, now, you know how when you're approaching a light, sometimes it's green and sometimes you see it turn green? Which of these was it? Was it already green when you looked at it?
Yes.
Okay.
It was already green.
All right, go ahead and come over here. Now, go ahead and go back. According to you, you had the green light.
Right.
Right? Did you have anybody in your car?
I did.
Who?
My husband, my 6-year-old daughter, and my 2-year-old son.
Okay. Were you paying attention, or were you on your iPad or your iPhone or your,
I was paying attention.
You were or you weren't?
I was.
You were. Okay. And how did it happen?
Like she said, we was coming down South Orange Avenue.
Who had the green?
We did.
Okay. So you get out of the car, and what happens?
The ambulance asked me, can I open the driver's side door? He tried to pull it, it was stuck, so I couldn't get out through the driver's side. I climbed through the passenger side, and he helped me into the ambulance, did the blood pressure and things like that.
Okay, did you end up going to the hospital?
No.
Okay. Did you ever end up talking to her at the scene?
Eventually, yeah.
What'd she say?
Well, we never talked about, at that point, who ran a red light or whatever. I figured she already knew what it was, being that she came over there. We exchanged information and everything like that. The cops was taking a nice amount of time to get there. I guess she was ready to go. She wanted to exchange information. We started doing that. A few minutes later, the cops came. So it wasn't, we already had each other information, but we still let the process go on as it was. The cops came, they talked to her
Did they
first.
ticket anybody?
No.
And you later find out when you get a copy of the police report that she claims you ran the red light.
Right.
Okay, let me hear from you. Go ahead and come on up here.
Okay. Okay. On that.
So she's the red car and you're the blue and orange dump truck or something. I can't see what she's got there.
Okay. She actually, it's a four-way street.
Mm-hmm.
I was here.
Okay.
I was here at the light. South Orange Avenue has a hill that you come down. Until you reach the bottom of the hill, you can't see the light because the hill is kind of a little steep coming down.
Could it be that it blocks me from seeing a light up?
When you come down, you come down like this, almost like a slope. It's like a little slope. So my light, that light quite often changes very fast. My light had just turned green. Hers was in the midst of already being red for at least not even 60 seconds.
Well, 60 seconds is a very long time.
Now I'm not going to say 60 seconds.
Well, don't.
Probably, it changed very fast.
Were you stopped at the light?
I was already stopped at the light.
You were stopped and waiting for the light to change? Or you were coming?
No, I was already at the light.
Was there a car in front of you?
No, I was the first car.
So you were the first car and you were stopped, according to you?
Yes.
All right.
So what she did is 2 lanes on here. She switched lanes and she was getting ready to turn. What I did, my light already was green. She was trying to beat the light. So when she
was trying to beat a yellow.
Yes.
Right.
My light was green. I came along, and when I came along, we hit like this. Just like that. In the middle of the middle section. Her quarter panel and her side bumper was dented. My whole front was gone. Bumper across the street, the metal pieces, everything was across the street. Now, the ground was wet, so when we hit, she skid like this. My car stayed in the middle of the street. Just like that. That's how it looked. The people already on my side was going until 2 people stopped, a lady and a gentleman. They both stopped. They came to me first because my 8-year-old jumped out of his booster seat and jumped out of the car in the middle of the traffic.
Oh my goodness.
I jumped out the car because I didn't want him to get hit because he was scared.
But there had to be hundreds of witnesses, all the cars that were all around there. Nobody stopped and gave their name to the police?
Nope. The police took a good minute to get there.
Oh, I know. You know what's a good idea? You know what lesson I'm learning from this? If I ever have an accident, I'm going to ask everybody to give me their name and number before they take off. If they're not, first I'm going to ask them to wait, and then they're not going to wait. And then I'm going to say to them, well, can I have your name and number so that we can give it to the police when they get here?
I was steady trying to control my 8-year-old because...
No, I know. Nobody thinks about this now, but you'll think about it the next time.
Exactly.
You will think. And everybody within the sound of my voice will think about this the next time.
Exactly.
Do you both have insurance?
I do.
I do. She don't.
You do, she doesn't?
Yes.
I have a letter from her insurance company saying that she doesn't have it and she didn't have it since June of 2013.
I have a letter from
I have insurance, but I only had liability.
Right. Can I go ahead and go back?
Thank you.
Can I see the letter you got? Because that's not the letter that was introduced into evidence. The letter that was introduced into evidence said it's not a covered claim. That's different from she doesn't have insurance.
Oh, my
Who's
insurance
your
just
insurance?
came to me.
Geico?
No, my insurance is Liberty Mutual.
Oh, wait a second. I think well, let me see. Maybe I'm
It's
confused.
her insurance company.
Yeah, I see a letter from Liberty Mutual. Apparently there was a mistake, and she is insured through Liberty Mutual. National Continental Insurance.
That's her insurance.
Oh, okay. And then you don't have collision. All right. So did you take your car to the shop?
I did.
And do you have pictures of it?
I do.
Let me see the pictures and let me see the estimate. And then did you take your car to the shop?
My car was taken to the same people I have bought the car from, or financed the car from. I took it right back to them.
You surrendered
They
it.
came and picked it up, and they totaled it out. Right along, I have gap insurance also.
Oh, so you didn't have to pay what you financed it for?
Exactly.
Oh, good for you. This is, whose car is this, yours?
Yes.
These pictures are taken from what angle? The angle you were coming?
That's us coming down south.
That's as you were coming. There's no hump there. You have pictures of the other car?
Yeah. The one.
Are they before the van?
Yeah, the one with the front.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, I have a couple problems, okay? Let me tell you what my problems are. If you're stopped at a red light, you haven't even picked up enough speed yet, you know, to have this accident.
Can I say I was in, when I say when she came down, I was already in the middle of the block.
Right,
That's
but
what
if
my
you're
picture
stopped,
showed.
you've come from a dead stop. Listen to the hand. If you've come from a dead stop and you've just started to speed up and she's running the yellow, this would be one of the hundreds of times that I've had this happen where I'm going 5 miles an, you know, I'm just starting to, and I slam on the brakes and I yell through the window.
That's what happened
at the
with her.
person who's making that left.
What I did was, when I seen her coming, the ground was wet. So I knew she wasn't gonna stop. I tried to throw my car in reverse.
You're not listening to me. If you're at a complete stop and you just started the car because your light just turned green, which is your story. The light turned green and I started, then if she's running that yellow, she's already in the process of it. She's in the middle of the street and you would see her.
She wasn't in the process of the yellow. That's what I'm saying. When she got down at the corner, the light had already turned red and she was running through the light. That's why he took the
And you were at a
statement.
dead stop.
I was already at the light.
You
So
were
when
at a
I
dead
pulled off-
stop and then you started to drive and got 10 feet. How fast could you be going?
That's what I'm
in
saying.
those
When
10
I
feet?
pulled off, I may have been going a
Not
little
even
fast,
10
but
feet.
I may have been going off a little fast, but when I pulled off, wasn't nobody in the intersection. She came past the intersection already. She came past the intersection, and that's when she hit me. But can I say one thing?
And
is
if-
that she doesn't have
just
insurance
a second,
at
ma'am.
all.
And if you are turning on a green light, is there oncoming traffic when you're trying to make your left?
I wasn't making a left. Never making any turns. Just going straight.
Court's in recess.
All rise.
So, are you guys conscious of whenever you run a light, or whenever you're at a green light or a red light and it turns green, are you conscious that the people on the other side who just got the red light, they might try to blow that light?
Depend where you are.
Huh?
Depend where you are.
No, I'm saying any intersection. Are you conscious?
Every time.
Every time? I mean, do you always think of that?
Yeah.
Do you?
Diligently.
I mean, are you required to? Are you required to look for stupidity?
No, you're not required to look for stupidity.
Do you look for stupidity?
Not always.
You should. Going inside the courtroom.
All right. This is kind of a tough one, you know? The idea, you know, I've had some concerns over you telling me I'm stopped at a red light, I start going, because you got to be going at a pretty slow pace, and you hit the car. You've got to be going at a relatively, you know, you're not going 50 miles an hour, you're not going 40, you're not going 30, you can't accelerate that quickly. So you're going pretty slow. So I'm trying to see if there's anything in your story that I can say, aha, you liar. But, you know, when I'm looking at the damages to the car, I know that they totaled everything, but your car's not like a can of tuna that, you know, that's been crushed. Your car's like, you know, I mean, yeah, there's damage to the whole left side of the car, but I can't tell by looking at her, wow, that had to be a really high-speed impact. I can't tell. I don't know which of you had the red light. You know, I kind of wish somebody hung around or gave you their name and number and said, have the cops call me. You know, because I honestly, you know, and here's the thing. Each of you have the burden of proof in your own cases, you know. This is far more important for you than it is for her because she has insurance. So you have the burden of proof in your case, and she has a burden of proof in her case. So for her to get you to pay for her damages so that her insurance rates don't go up or whatever, of course that money would go straight to the insurance company, not in her pocket. She would have to prove her case against you. I know I can't figure it out from your case either. I don't know which of you had the red light of the. I wish I was a fly on the lamppost when this happened so that I could figure it out. But I honestly can't. So since each of you have the burden of proving your case by a preponderance of the evidence, I find that really neither of you can under these circumstances. And so in your case against her, I rule for her, and in your case against her, I rule for her. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Give me that.
All right, so there's just no blood on either side here, as they say. How can the judge figure out whose fault it is? What's your feeling on the outcome?
Well, the other lady who's not here, who she's also representing, she was very apologetic when she came over to my car. I'm sorry. She wanted to make a turn, so, but it's okay.
At least nobody was hurt. It's just a bunch of dents, you know.
It's true.
Silver lining there for you?
Yeah.
All right, okay. All right, then head right down that way, and the documents are waiting for you. Okay, this is the red-haired side of the case here. What's your feeling on this outcome here?
The lady she's talking about is my mother, and she wasn't at the accident at all. So she's never even seen my mother, but
this whole case is your word against hers, and it's all circumstantial, and
exactly.
No one knows who hit who.
And it was like that when I got the police report. But I'm just going to say those who have dollar-day insurance or SAP, they should get full coverage because that's not insurance.
All right, Harvey, what do you got?
Okay, Kurt, when you do have an accident, it is really important before anybody leaves the scene to get the names and phone numbers of the witnesses. Once they're gone, they're gone. And you should be very conscious of that as soon as you get out of the car. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, Philip Romanzi. He says he's an accountant, and he's done the defendant's taxes for the last 18 years. Then, out of the clear blue sky, the guy tells him he's going to someone else. Well, he can't stop them from doing that, but the defendants need to pay him what they owe him, and aren't. They've always nickel and dimed him to death, but the buck stops here in this court because he's suing the cheapskates for the $600 he still owed. These are the defendants, Elizabeth and Gary Ferrandino. Gary says the plaintiff moved out of state a few years ago, and his service got really bad. On top of that, he kept raising his rates, but did less and less work. So they decided to go elsewhere, to another accountant who charges them a fraction of what the plaintiff used to charge. Bottom line, they don't owe this man any more money than they've already paid him, and that's that. They're accused of refusing an accountant's accounting.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says he's done the defendant's taxes for years and suddenly got stiffed. But the defendants say the guy's service got really bad. It's the case of 1040 over and out.
Douglas,
You're welcome, ma'am.
Philip Romanzi?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
are suing Elizabeth Ferrandino, Gary Ferrandino, and Ferrandino Incorporated for $600 in a balance that is due for accounting services, which you feel you should not have to pay because the fee was exorbitant. All right, you tell me what's going on.
Okay, I've been doing his taxes and his corporations for a number of years. Never complained about the price, and I actually lowered them the last year because what had happened was he had, I saw the business was going downhill, but still I got to make a certain amount of money in order to cover my costs. So I lowered it down, and there wasn't less work. I did his income taxes, I did all the spreadsheets, I did all the
This is for the
bank
taxes in
recs.
2010.
Yes, this is
How
for
much was the
2010.
bill? It's your joint personal taxes?
Yes, correct.
As well as one corporation?
Yes. Correct. Yes.
Okay, taxes. And how much were you charging?
I charge him $235 for his personal taxes and $2,200 for the corporation.
How long have you been an accountant?
Since 1972.
Okay. All right, and you were their accountant for how many years? 8?
Well, not his personal taxes I did for about, I'd say about 18 years, give or take a year or two. And then when he went into business in 2006, he actually had 2 corporations, and I was doing both of them.
Okay. All right, so what's the problem? Why won't you pay your accountant the remaining $600 balance of your bill?
What happened was Phil's service just started getting so bad.
How?
Well, what happened was I've been using Phil since probably like 1996, 97. Then my corporation wasn't started until about 2004, 2005.
What kind of business were you in?
It was a cleaning service.
Okay.
And what happened was everything was it got to the point where everything was a last minute phone call. Extensions were guaranteed every year, and we went right to the last day. We get phone calls the day before. Gary, I need you to fax this. I need to do this, make a copy of that. And I would say, Phil, why wouldn't you call me like a week ahead of time at least? So it got to that point. It got so bad. I mean, I do have also some letters from other clients that Phil had that no longer use his services. And then what broke the camel's back, Your Honor, was he lost my daughter's taxes in 2010. And I called him, I said,
What
Phil,
do you mean he lost her taxes?
the taxes were lost in the mail. He sent them U.S. mail.
You mean the returns?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
were lost, they never got to the IRS or to you guys?
No, never got to us to sign them because he had moved out of state, Phil. So that's when the services really started getting bad because he was in another state and...
Well, when you say they got lost in the mail, what'd you do about it?
I called Phil and I said, first I asked him, Phil, did you do my daughter's taxes? He goes, oh, I sent them out a month ago. I said, a month ago? We never even got them. That's when we determined that they were lost in the mail.
What did you end up doing, though? Did you say fax them again, send them, email them, whatever? So there was no harm, no foul, right? Like your daughter got her taxes.
Just as far as everything was lost and who knows where they are and all your personal information.
They were lost in the U.S. mail.
U.S. mail, they were lost.
Okay, but he is not responsible for the U.S. mail.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying.
But he had to recreate the whole process, and had we not called him to ask him if he had done them, we wouldn't even know.
The whole process? You just print it back out, right? Because you do it digitally.
I printed it back out.
Right.
I had copies of their W-2 forms, which I kept.
Right.
And I gave it to him.
But but why are you not paying his bill? Because you feel like he was very last minute? How does that give you a right not to pay it?
I'm not paying his bill because of his services just got so bad towards the end, and I paid him all the time since I've had him, since 1997. And I said, Phil, I mean,
you're supposed to. I mean,
no, yeah, absolutely.
What did he do wrong? Like, other than last minute, an extension.
His services just deteriorated, the taxes.
I know, but you don't get to rewrite what the bill is because here's what you get to do. Here's what other people would do in your position. We're not going to use you anymore. And then you move on. And I can't help but notice that you mentioned, now the accountant you're using charges you how much? Way less.
Way less.
Way less.
And
so what's really happening? Let me tell you what's really happening is buyer's remorse. You feel like, we paid them all. This is the exact phrase you just used. We paid them all that money all this time. I think we're even. Enough already. No, you should shop around, find an accountant whose services you're happy with, the price you're happy with, and if you didn't, then you didn't. And so if you don't want to use him anymore because you think he's too last minute or you don't like extensions, then don't use them. But how do you figure that I'm going to allow you to cheat him $600 because you wish you hadn't hired him for 18 years?
Well, what I had to do is I had to dissolve the corporation with my new accountant. He said he had me taking out sales tax, collecting sales tax for services that shouldn't have been collected for sales tax. And my accountant said, why were you doing that? So I said, well, my previous accountant told me, he goes, that was totally wrong. So the best way...
I need proof of everything you just said.
Do accountants make a lot of mistakes?
Sometimes.
Generally?
It depends on who you work with.
Generally.
Sometimes.
I feel like it's a Dick Clark production going inside the courtroom.
I just asked you, did he commit an error? And you said, my new accountant says he did. So that's good. Okay, give me that. So now I need proof of what you just said. Something from your new accountant that talks about the error and how much it cost you. Give me that.
Yeah, that I don't have.
Okay. Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
No, but I'll tell you one thing. In New York State, cleaning services are taxable. I don't care what his accountant says. I found out from New York State that it was, because the first thing I do...
You can never ask New York State. Basically, if I do this, they want to tax me. And then if I do this back, they want to tax me again.
Let me tell you, the only thing that you're taxed up until 9 months after you're dead. So, I mean, you know...
and then when you die, they tax you again on all that money that was already taxed the first time, because now you actually have the nerve to want to give it to your children. Right.
Well, anyway, I double-checked, okay? And I've been doing accounting for a long time, and I know the laws.
We're done. Stick a fork in me. I am done. $600, verdict for the plaintiff. Please pay the man.
All right, well, here come the defendant out here on the losing end of this. So you don't have him as your accountant anymore, but you have to pay the guy for his services.
Well, I just thought that his services got so bad that, it's like...
That you didn't have to pay for him.
Well, not they didn't have to pay, that he didn't deserve that amount. That's basically...
That's your deal with the guy, so why didn't you just pay him and move on?
Well,
That's what we do.
That's what we're going to do now, move on.
Yeah, why didn't you do that before? It's the right thing to do.
Because I just had that mentality, like I said, his services were so bad, and I didn't think he deserved that price that he asked for.
All right, okay, head right around the corner. All right, so come on in here. So here's the accountant. He finally gets paid for his services. What's your reaction to this outcome? Step up a little bit.
I'm glad. I'm glad, of course, that I won. But I just want to say one thing. I used to come into New York, even though I'm out of state. I'm in New York about 8 to 10 times a year.
Great.
And many times I said to him, Gary, let me come over to your house and pick up the stuff from you. Oh, that's right, I'll mail it to you.
That's that last-minute complaint of his?
Yeah, so he would mail it to me, and by the time, and many times...
Can he deduct his loss here in the courtroom? Can he just deduction?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Harvey?
Okay, Kurt, so accountants are licensed by the state. Call the licensing agency if you have a problem. Sometimes they can work it out short of going to court.